It's yeah, it's Firearms Friday. I got Mario in the house with me. Let's get some studio lights on in here. I see Stryker. Stryker's got first blood this morning.
Guten Morgen to you, Stryker.
Guten Morgen indeed. Ooh, I'm way up here. Let's that's better. That's better.
Got to get his mise en scène. Uh-oh, looks like Lowry's audio cut out. Uh-oh, no one can hear you. Yep, your audio just cut out. Yep, that's right. Yep, that's right. Can't hear you. Nope, no audio. You might be able to hear me, but I can't hear you. Oh, goodness. If there was ever a day where I was ill-prepared to take over the show myself, it would be today. Well, it is Firearms Friday, and we will have some defensive gun uses in just a few minutes for you, which Lowry has curated. But there are some secondary. Nope. Can't hear you. Cannot hear you. Yeah, that's right. You push that button. You push the other button. You should push the button you didn't push before, but you should push now. Anyway, so there are some secondary topics that we were.
How about now?
Oh, yeah, we got a Chris. He's coming in hot, but we got a Chris.
Damn.
All right, there you go.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the problem is with this device. Okay, so you can hear me, but I'm coming in hot.
No, you're good now. It normalized. Everything's fine.
No, I lowered my voice.
Oh, well, either way.
I moderated my speaking volume. Okay, well, here's hoping. Let's do it then.
All right.
Well, that totally broke up my train of thought already.
It's okay. It was limited capacity. It's not a full on train today. It's more of a city tram.
Like one of those California monorails to nowhere.
Exactly. It was a $56 billion boondoggle, that resulted in nothing, and meanwhile reservoirs are empty. So, yes, yeah. California style.
So, speaking of government corruption and evil, let's jump right into Germany and the alternative for Deutschland. Right. So I'm going to open with this article. This is not Mario. This is not the article that you sent me.
Right.
This article it's a little bit older. It's from the middle of last year, July of last year. But German court bans members of popular right-wing party from owning guns. A German court has effectively banned all members of the Alternative for Germany, AfD party, from owning firearms. The AfD is a right-leaning populist party that, like Marine Le Pen's National Rally Party in France, has grown increasingly popular despite a concerted suppression campaign by the leftist German government establishment, which has sought to ban, vilify, and criminalize the AfD outright. Now, let's add a little clarification there. When they say the government has sought to ban the party, think about that. Imagine the U.S. government in America attempting to criminalize the existence of a political party. Right? Yep. Now, what we saw over the last election cycle, and actually over the last 3 election cycles, was a concerted effort which we now know was directly involved with the government. Right? The Obama administration during the first Trump campaign, the Hillary Clinton campaign during Trump's first campaign and eventual victory and election, the Biden campaign, certainly coupled with outside influence from the Clintons and the Obamas, engaged in actively suppressing speech by the right. And that went so far as to create active smear campaigns like the Russia hoax, where you're essentially they sought to do an end run around constitutionality, right? By using it's a private platform argument, and the government was doing things that are illegal, right? And let me remind you, when I say the government was doing things that are illegal, the crimes that were committed by people like the Clinton campaign, the Obama administration, we now know also the Biden administration, at any point while any of them were involved in government and also involved in any of these misinformation, disinformation, and censorship campaigns, what they were doing, they were in active violation of Section 242 and 243
Yeah.
of U.S. Code 18, which is the suppression of civil liberties under color of law and the conspiracy to commit the suppression of liberties under color of law. And those crimes are punishable with jail time, fines, and depending on the severity of the suppression, up to and including the death penalty. And let me make this very clear. When you're talking about breaking 242, the suppression of civil liberties under color of law, and the obvious intended outcome, in fact, the stated intended outcome, is to conduct a soft power coup against the duly elected government of the United States of America, then I cannot see any way that the argument goes anywhere but that is the standard at which the
Yeah.
death penalty is incurred under 242, right?
Yeah.
But because we have the First Amendment and we have Section 242 and we have the 10th Amendment, these government agencies, these government affiliates, and these government contractors and political parties and political campaign offices, they had to create this tangled web of falsification where they're pretending like private entities are taking individual actions of their own accord and attempt to obfuscate the now proved government agency coercion that was used to create that thing.
Yeah.
Germany, like every other place in the world that's not America, does not have free speech enshrined in the law. There is no free speech outside of the United States, period.
Yep. Correct. So you talk about the what the Clinton campaign did and the Obama administration. Well, I mean, if anything, the Biden administration accelerated and attempted to normalize such behavior. Normalize being
Right.
the key word. They had members of the administration were directly contacting the public affairs offices of tech companies and threatening them specifically to remove specific like memes, okay, and posts. So
Even in Biden's farewell speech night before last, he brought up the fact that Facebook is getting rid of the fact checkers.
yeah, Facebook. Well, see, yes, it failed. Attempts to suppress free speech in the United States largely fail, just because we have such a robust tradition and of free speech. But the outgoing Biden administration, they saw the web of control that they had established over tech companies through soft and I guess at times hard coercion, based on some of the things Zuckerberg has revealed this week. All that has failed because tech companies are still businesses, okay, and businesses
Yep.
have to operate under basic principles of profit generation, okay, and they have seen basically they just all you have to do to gain the favor, okay, or from these tech companies is simply to win, and they're going to come to you in the end anyway. That's why, and also that's probably the greatest challenge I think of the incoming administration is how to, because you look in the news and it seems like tech companies like Zuckerberg, okay, or Elon Musk was the first one, right? Or Bezos, etc., going to Mar-a-Lago. They're not going there to kiss the ring or to like pay their respects to the incoming administration. They're going there to try to buy into it. Okay, um, they're not. They're not. They want to be.
Did Mario? I think Mario just froze.
So,
your internet just shit the bed for a minute there, brother.
yep. Yeah, well, it is my internet. So yeah, they're going there to buy in, and by buying in, they're going to have some aspect of control. Okay, and it's very unfortunate for the MAGA base, people who've been on this train since 2015, 2016. That you can get people who jump in at the last minute, and just through wielding billions of dollars are going to get outsized influence in an organization that they were only part of like 5 minutes ago. Okay, so, but I mean, I guess that's the way of the world. So
Right. So the AFD is ostensibly on the right. So you can think of them as Germans that are a little more like Republicans than the rest of the political parties over there. Now, when I say that, keep in mind, guys, when you get outside of the United States, we've talked about the difference between what parties are outside of the U.S. and inside of the U.S. and how left and right don't mean the same thing. Uh, and and especially liberal and conservative, because you got to remember in the United States, what we are conservative of, and I'm actually going to address something Savage Lee said here in just a second, um, about America is the last bastion of freedom. Many of you who are longtime watchers of the show know where I stand on that statement, and I'm gonna cover it real quick in just a second here. But first, when we talk about left and right, liberal and conservative, remember the thing that an American conservative is conservative of is the Constitution, which is, in the traditional use of the word, the most liberal government document that has ever been written. And that is precisely because the Constitution was intended from its very founding, from the original drafting, to be a document which is explicitly adversarial to the growth of government. The document is designed to not establish government, but to assume that government is established and then say, okay, and we're putting it in this box. This thing's going to happen whether we like it or not. So we're going to put controls on it. And understand, when I say this thing's going to happen whether you like it or not, fantasize for a moment that all the governments just collapsed and we were suddenly in an actual total anarchy. That lasts for about 12 seconds before the guy with guns, a group of guys with guns, say either, I want your shit and you can't stop me, or I can stop you, bring it on. And you get little groups coming together. Hey, here's a big chunk of land. We're going to bring all our families together. We're going to work the land. We're going to survive. We're going to defend this land. And now you've got basically a neo-feudalism, and it would happen overnight. Now, so the Constitution assumes that some form of government will develop, and it must be contained and restrained and controlled. Now, that said, outside of the United States, when you talk about something being liberal or conservative, what the conservative conserves outside of the United States is the monarchy. Because what a conservative is to conserve the traditions of the nation. The traditions of the American nation are a limited government that does not include a monarchy. And outside of the United States, it's the opposite of that. That's why those terms get so confusing when you start talking about national politics and international politics, and people don't understand that generally. So
that's kind of a classical view of it. I mean, where it's the monarchists versus the Republicans. Okay, Republicanism would be considered radical left wing for traditional monarchist European sensibilities, but I don't think AFD, Alternative for Deutschland, is not it's not really right wing party per se. It's the non-crazy party. Okay, kind of like in 2016. Okay, Trump. You could say Trump was running on like a hard right wing. No, he was running on common sense. He was running on not insanity. He's running on not committing suicide. All right, that is the message.
Well, like I said yesterday, when we went into the booth and we saw Donald Trump's name on the ballot, we didn't really have a choice between a Democrat and a Republican. We had a choice between a slate of early 90s flavored Democrats and a slate of Chinese communism and
It's like the
national
meme.
suicide.
It's like the meme from 2020 where it shows Democrat and Republican, and and you got to check the box, right? And Democrat states, "I hate white people and want to destroy every aspect of our civilization," and then the box for Republican says, "No, that's crazy." That's what
Right.
what it is.
So, and then back to Savage Lee's comment up here. Uh, oh, the Savage Lee, the deal with the BB guns back here, it doesn't actually have anything to do with a strike. Those are props that we use for film production. But then you had this comment here. Okay. Oh, and I don't mean to beat up on you, but I'm gonna correct you a little bit here. That's one thing these young communistic people fail to realize. America is the last bastion of freedom and liberty in the world. And here's where I'm going to correct you on that. America is not the last bastion of freedom.
Beachhead.
It is the beachhead. It is the footfall. It is the initial invasion of liberty into a world that had none. So prior to the establishment, prior to the foundation of the United States, prior to the writing and ratification of the Constitution of the United States of America, the standard globally was struggle, strife, poverty, and a very tiny minority monarchy per country globally. Right, everywhere around the world, all you had was either you're born into nobility or you've got a little scrap of land that somebody else owns and you're allowed to survive on as long as you produce a profit margin for the local baron, duke, knight, etc.
Your property. You're tied to the land.
Yep. Right. Yes, you belonged to the land. The land could not belong to you. Right. Until the United States was founded, what we think of as liberty and prosperity did not exist on the planet Earth. We are not the last bastion. We are the first beachhead. So it is not the case that liberty was a thing and then retracted down to us. It is the case that we began it. We've managed to push it out. We've managed to extend it and convince some other countries to at least give lip service to some of the principles of liberty and prosperity that have been proved out by the American experiment, which has reduced global poverty to near non-existence compared to the standards of just 20 years ago. But and it is fair to say that we've extended that liberty around the globe to some extent, and then it has retracted again as globalist psychopaths have taken more and more power and more moved toward a one world government type of situation through the manipulations of NATO and the UN and other more nefarious and less well-known groups, largely by conducting economic warfare against the United States and bleeding away our sacred treasure. But this is the first beachhead, and we do have a responsibility to maintain it, to at least hold the beach.
So we are diverging quite a bit here. So I want to
come
back to
back to the AFD.
So, right. So yeah, they're banning firearm possession, and we're talking about like these are on top of already draconian gun laws. Okay, we're talking Germany. One of the I talk on like anonymous online forums. Okay, a lot with plenty of Europeans, and one of the complaints that I get often from especially German posters is I'll tell them, I own a Glock, I own a Walther PPK, and they're just seething. They're like, this is bullshit. Like those are our guns. We made those. Like, why can't we have them? I'm like, I know. I'm 100% with you on that one. But yeah, so banning laws from guns or firearms. So I guess crossbows as well, which are popular amongst enthusiasts in Europe because it's one of the ways you can get around. It's one of the ways to own a lethal weapon, but get around firearm restrictions is owning a crossbow. Okay, so I assume that will include that as well. But so you're just disarming a population that's already disarmed, specifically to target a party that you don't like, a party that threatens the status quo of the Christian Democrat Union, which would be the Republicans, versus the socialists, who would be the Democrats, right? This third party is Alternative for Deutschland, commands the youth vote. Okay, the majority of the 20-somethings, all right, the Zoomers are voting for of German descent are voting for Alternative for Deutschland. Even some of the children of like Turkish immigrants who've been there for generations are also supporting the AFD. All right, and you have that, and then this week, to add insult to injury, uh, police officers who are affiliated with Alternative for Deutschland are going to be fired from their jobs. Okay, in Germany. So right wing, or at least we should say nationalist. All right. um, Nationalist, patriotic police officers are going to be put out of a job, which means that who's going to be left behind doing the work? Basically, women and socialists, right? So you should expect even more police abuse by removing people from positions who actually give a damn about the country. And like I said,
Women and socialists, but I repeat myself.
yeah, but like it just goes to show we're talking like what Alternative for Deutschland is saying would be really, I mean, just to show you where the Overton window has gone in Germany, all right, since the end of World War II, honestly. um, Helmut Kohl, okay, who was prime minister in like the early 90s and late 80s, some of the stuff he said would be considered more radical or more Nazi than stuff that the AFD, okay, is currently saying. All AFD wants is basically to stop the immigration and fix the economy, which has been destroyed. Germany used to be the industrial powerhouse of Europe. All right, because of the Green agenda and the Green Party, who are radical eco-communists. And I don't care what country. Okay, the Green Party are going to be radical eco-communists. They're the just stop oil, defacing priceless works of arts with orange paint, gluing themselves to the damn highway. Uh, Anarcho-primitivist psychopaths. Okay, they had a part of the last coalition government in Germany, and they used that to great effect by essentially destroying some of the great industry, like the auto industry in Germany. All right, you got Volkswagen shutting down plants now. Okay, because the energy costs have surged out of control. Banning Restricting the use, punishing the use of fossil fuel, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline sabotage, which was probably almost certainly conducted by Ukrainian special forces with our intelligence support. And I mean, it's just to show you how backwards like green energy policy is. They're literally burning wood to cover up shortfalls in energy because of restrictions on the use of coal and oil. Okay, think about how retarded that is. You know what I mean? We're exact same carbon footprint, if not more, but because wood wasn't specifically mentioned in the restrictions, you know what I mean? They turned to wood. So
We're not allowed. We're not allowed to burn coal because it makes the air dirty. So let's cut down some trees that clean air.
clean the air and burn it. Or let's cut down historic forests and put a windmill farm. Okay,
Quick, burn the air filter.
which they have done. They've cut down forests to install windmills, just to show you the level of
Yeah.
psychosis. How, I mean, I could get emotional, but I try not to. But yeah, basically,
You
no
can
guns,
try.
no guns, and you're getting kicked out of the police. So just that's what's happening. I mean, they're taking, what they're doing. They're taking a page from the recent Romanian elections. Okay, where a populist right wing.
Oh yes, I haven't covered this on the show yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they won the first round of parliamentary elections. A lot of these elections in Europe work like that, where it's like round one, we'll figure out who the real challenges are. It will narrow it down to like 2 or 3 parties, and then the second round is where
it's kind of like a jungle primary in America.
Like a primary, kind of, yeah,
like
right?
a jungle primary, where
Yeah.
you'll have like 30 people run. You're talking like small government townships. Some smaller cities. A few of the larger cities still do it. I think Georgia, I think just stopped doing jungle primaries about 2 years ago. I could be wrong about that.
California is the leading example of that in the States.
Yeah. So what you'll have like
because it's a way to shut the Republicans out forever. Okay, that's
right. You'll have like 30 candidates. You'll have like 30 candidates run, and they're running for like the mayor or city councilman, something like that, and it's a mix of Republican and Democrat, and then you'll see the third parties pop in there a lot, and then what happens is the jungle primary, the two leading vote getters, unless somebody wins 50% plus one, the two leading vote getters are your candidates going into the runoff. And then you get to the runoff, and you may find yourself walking into the runoff with two Democrats who are functionally identical, and the final decision is just going to basically be on whose hair is better, or something like that.
Or like well, I don't want to cut off little boys' penises without parental consent. And then the alternative would be no, all penises will be cut. And it's
Yeah. Excuse me. So yeah. So that's kind of what it looks like globally. And what Mario was saying about the Romanian.
Correct. The Romanian election, I forgot the guy. I think his name was like Fico or something. I forgot. I should have.
But he won, and then the court just came in and said, "You know what? We don't like this guy because he's conservative.
Shut it down." Yeah. So that's exactly what they did. They shut it down. They claimed that the results were invalid because, guess who? Russia. Because of a perceived Russian involvement in the election. Okay, that Russia is like the go-to boogeyman, all right, for ineffective, limp dick European parties to claim that the opposition is nefarious or the opposition is foreign controlled. All right, they do that every single time. They do that. They even do that in the UK. All right, so Russia is the boogeyman. So all they have to do is just wave a magic Russia wand, and then we can redo democracy until the people choose correctly. That's their perspective, and it's fully supported by the European Parliament. Because you got to understand, if you're whatever nation you are, nation you live in Europe, whatever your ethnic background, your national elections honestly don't unless you're like a G7 country, your national elections don't mean shit. What matters is what the European Parliament, which is an overarching administrative body, okay, in Brussels, what they say is what actually matters. And if you're just a little shit country like Romania, you can get fucked as far as they're concerned.
Yeah.
Shut it down. They're saying that if Alternative for Deutschland has similar results in the first round of elections upcoming in Germany, that they're going to do the same thing. So that's revolution material. That's revolution territory. Okay, where it's going. The right wing in Germany is attempting to heal. Okay, it's like nature trying to heal itself through natural cycles. Okay, where they've gone way too far to the left, and there has to be a natural pushback coming from the right. All right, and they are trying.
Tim says sometimes liberty requires a fight, maybe an ugly one. Yeah. The old quote. The quote is, "The tree of liberty must on occasion be watered with the blood of tyrants and patriots alike."
The natural political function in like France and Germany is for the right, okay, to actually gain power and to be in charge for a while, okay, because the left has exceeded their bounds on so many occasions to the point of grievous personal insult for anyone living in those countries who basically holds that passport and cares. All right, and they're doing everything they possibly can to prevent that natural political function that a society has to go through. You see it in the United States. We see it here. If you've had one party in power for 8 years, okay, the odds of that party, no matter how the quality of the candidate, winning again the odds are very much against them. Okay, it almost always flips over to the other side. So I'm not saying that it's a one-for-one comparison between our parties in Europe, but you kind of understand that natural entropy that occurs amongst political movements. So anyway, you got anyone getting shot today, or?
Actually, I've got some DGUs, but before we get into that, after all that gloom and doom about what governments are doing to just straight uh to just straight steal people's liberties and guns. Let me bring us back to America with this article. Washington bill seeks to expand gun-free zones. The truth
Yes.
about guns. This is from thetruthaboutguns.com. In recent years, gun owners in Washington state have felt under siege every time the state legislature is in session, and this year is no exception. Last week, we covered the story of a gun shop in Washington state that is getting in a lot of trouble because they apparently had illegal quote unquote high capacity magazines, which is to say they had standard capacity magazines. But in recent years, gun owners in Washington state have felt under siege every time the state legislature is in session, and this year is no exception. A punitive measure proposed by two Democrat lawmakers would expand the list of locations where lawful residents could not possess a firearm for self-defense. Okay, little perspective real quick. Georgia is now a constitutional carry state. And I'm not going to rehash.
Based.
I don't like the phrase constitutional carry in this context, but we'll deal with that again at another time.
Because it shouldn't even be required. We get it.
Right. All gun laws are illegal. All gun laws are bad. And everybody who has ever signed a gun law, who has ever voted for a gun law as an elected official, is a criminal and should be incarcerated for that crime. Now,
Yep.
in Georgia, God, it's been 10 years now. I think it was 2015 where they passed the campus carry legislation. And the campus carry legislation, this is before we even got constitutional carry. Under the campus carry legislation, it wasn't just campuses. It was back then you had to have a firearms license to conceal carry in the state of Georgia, right? You had to have a Georgia carry license for concealed carry. But once the campus carry legislation went through, it was very explicit, and it listed the explicit places you can't carry a weapon. And go read the law yourself. Don't make your decisions on where you carry your weapon in Georgia based on what I'm about to say, but go read the law. And this is a gross simplification, not legal advice, but it basically says unless it's a federal facility with a magnetometer at the door, then you're good to go. Now, there's some real caveats there, because even though it's phrased that way in the campus carry law, that still puts post offices off the list. You still can't carry your firearm in a post office, and technically you can't have your firearm in the car with you on the post office property, which is psychotic. It's asinine.
It's people were going postal like that. That was a meme IRL in the 90s of postmen opening fire and just greasing people. That was
so. So Senate Bill 5098, introduced by Senators Javier Valdez and Rebecca Saldana, would ban the possession of firearms in parks, government buildings, and areas where children are likely to be present.
Those are good heritage American names. Those are all Americans right there.
Yeah, that language right there. Places where children are likely to be present.
Anywhere. Okay, got it. Anywhere except
America. You can't own a firearm in America.
Anywhere.
This vague definition can be applied almost anywhere outside of the home, and demonstrates the intent of this bill is to make the entire state of Washington a gun-free zone. NRA-ILA said in a recent legislative update. So, the long and short of it, that this is still being argued there. So I wanted to show you that psychopathy, like the Germans trying to take all the guns away from a single party, that still exists here in America too. But there is hope. I've got a couple articles here that are worth.
Real quick, I wanted to add one tiny thing there. So, in this past election, in 2024 national elections, Republicans made inroads at virtually every level. Okay, in every state, All right, across the board. All right,
Yep.
in some places, in battleground states, outright victory. But even in perma blue states, they still made huge gains, with the exception of like it was either Washington or Oregon, which is now like ultra extreme supermajority Democrat. Okay, I think it was Oregon, but I could be wrong. But either way, the Pacific Northwest is still a political hellhole with no end in sight. How long until they have their wildfire moment? And when basically the chickens come home to roost. Anyway, go ahead. DGUs.
Be Controversial asks, what am I supposed to do? Disarm for the entire day that I may go to certain places, or make special trips home to disarm, so just so I won't have a gun on the premises. In theory, legally, Be Controversial. Yes, that is what they're saying. That is the argument.
The idea is just to deter you from carrying it outright. Okay, that's how they work. It's
Correct.
like the process is the punishment. You know what I mean? Well, the regulation is the deterrent, effectively.
Right. So let's get a little hope here. Legal victory for young adults in Pennsylvania open carry case. The Second Amendment Foundation scored a significant legal victory for young adults in Pennsylvania as the Third U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled 2-1 to block the state police from arresting law-abiding 18 to 20-year-olds for openly carrying firearms during a declared state of emergency. The case, Madison Laura versus Commissioner Pennsylvania State Police, marks the second time the Third Circuit has ruled in SAF's favor. Joining SAF in the cases were the Firearms Policy Coalition and 3 private citizens, including lead plaintiff Madison Laura. Circuit Court upholds broad Second Amendment protections. The case has been through a rigorous judicial journey. After the Third Circuit initially ruled in favor of the plaintiffs, the state appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. The High Court remanded the case back to the Third Circuit for reconsideration in light of its recent Rahimi decision. However, the appellate court determined that Rahimi did not alter their analysis and reaffirmed its ruling, ordering the district court to issue an injunction against the state police. Where's the description of the case?
Article.
Writing for the majority, Circuit Court Judge Kent A. Jordan stated, "It is undisputed that 18 to 20-year-olds are among the people for other constitutional rights such as the right to vote, freedom of speech, the freedom to peacefully assemble, and the right against unreasonable searches and seizures. We therefore reiterate our holding that 18 to 20-year-olds are, like other subsets of the American public, presumptively among the people to whom Second Amendment rights extend." Oh, guys, I'm sorry, I don't have. Let me see. I might have to come back to this one later. I might have to come back to that one later and find the story that goes with the case, because this is an update on the Supreme Court case, but it's still something to take some hope from.
I don't know, man. Like just reaffirming the existing law as it is written. I don't really consider that a victory. That's a defensive play. Someone was trying to overturn that. Anyway.
Yeah, let's move to the next one. Also, basically, constitutional carry. What constitutional carry is in theory is this is why I don't like the use of the word constitutional carry. States that are constitutional carry have gotten rid of their licensing laws, and they call themselves constitutional carry states, where basically it means, and it's a little different from state to state, which is part of the problem, but states that are constitutional carry say that you can conceal carry or open carry without a license to do so, because you have the constitutionally guaranteed right to keep and bear arms. And that's a start. That's a step in the right direction. Now, the problem is that those states all have caveats like the federal buildings, etc. Some states you can carry right? You can't carry as a non-police officer, civilian going to a jail to visit somebody in jail, right? And okay, that may sound reasonable, except that's a restriction on your right to keep and bear arms, and fuck you. Same thing with like the post office I mentioned earlier. So that's part of the problem with the constitutional carry thing. But I will say this in support of constitutional carry maneuvers. It's one of those baby steps, right? You get there a little bit at a time. Just like a Democrat trying to get Roe v. Wade in place to begin with. Um, if you want to protect yourself, then the constitutional carry maneuvers are what we have right now. It is the thing that's winning. 29. So the majority of U.S. states now are constitutional carry to some extent.
Yep.
Right. And this is as of middle of last year. This article is from
Florida.
I think March of last year. Did you say Florida is not?
Florida's not.
Not yet.
You still got to get a concealed carry permit. You still got to pay. You got to pay your $100 buckos. Okay.
Right. You have to buy your rights back from the state, and that's disgusting.
Larry, if you won't pay your $1.05, who will? Okay. Freedom isn't free.
Yeah. Freedom isn't free. I paid my $1.05. If you've never had a nicotine-enriched Whippet before going into a gunfight, have you ever? Are you even an American?
Nicotine enriched. They make Whippets with nicotine in them.
Oh yeah.
What?
You never had the brown can while you were downrange?
No, we never got that in Iraq.
They were all over Afghanistan. Oh yeah.
Shit, man. I was sitting there slumming it with like sugar-free purple. Come on.
And it's like 5 cigarettes worth of nicotine in that 6-ounce can. It's retarded.
That's insane.
Oh yeah.
That's like high schoolers having strokes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's terrible for you. I've had one. I had one because I had to know. I don't mess with energy drinks. That is not the one. I'm a high energy guy generally, and yeah, no.
Imagine if they made like the Omni Slash Whippet, where it's basically it's energy, nicotine, alcohol, and THC all in one little can.
Jesus. Yeah, this was just caffeine and whatever other not quite meth uppers they could cram in there, and 5 cigarettes worth of nicotine.
Yeah. 3 Whippets can in fact a single Pervitin from World War II, right?
Not Whippets, Rippets.
Whippets.
Rip here. Let me see.
Yeah. I was mispronouncing it. I know.
Well, let me see if I can find the. Okay, so this is a traumatic. Wow, task and purpose. I was trying to find a picture of the can with the nicotine in it. They do not want to show me that. Okay. The internet doesn't want to show me the can, but yep, that's a thing. All right, moving on.
Well, this morning, Fox 13 is learning that a grocery store manager stepped in to protect himself and others from armed shoplifters during Friday's snowstorm in Memphis, and police say that store manager shot a potential robber who fired a gun and threatened to kill him. What a scene playing out in the snow. Fox 13's Jeremy Pierre joins us live with new details. Wow.
So we've just added a whole new level to the annual Snowmageddon.
What happened there again? I was looking for the can. What? Someone got shot.
So what's happening now?
Robbery.
Well, let me tell you, one person is in custody. We're still working to gather information as to who else is going to be charged in this crime. Let me tell you, this is a wild story that took place Friday during that severe weather that hit the Mid-South. This all happened in the butcher shop parking lot here in Fraser. Now, police say the manager spotted 3 men rolling carts of food out of the store and followed them into the parking lot to try to
Hold
stop
up.
them. And
He said it happened in the butcher shop, right? She said grocery store. And while I'm not going to say that a butcher shop is not a grocery store, a butcher shop is a very different creature than just a, this ain't the Piggly Wiggly, right? you go to a butcher shop and you're dealing with a different breed of human being. I would be deeply surprised to find a butcher shop south of the Mason-Dixon line where at least half the butchers aren't armed.
that's when a driver of a getaway van got out and threatened to kill that store manager and then fired a gunshot into the air, then pointed that gun at the manager. That's when the manager took matters into his own hand, protecting himself. He pulled out his own gun and then shot that getaway driver. All of the suspects left after that. Fox 13 spoke with a witness who told us he's surprised to hear about the violence even in the middle of a winter storm.
So, okay,
What?
you got
Meat get shot for some meat? What the what? Why?
it's not the one you want, man. Okay, fair play. Steaks is expensive now. All right, let's not get it twisted. Beef is like $8-10 a pound right now, and that's Democrats. Why does beef cost a fortune? Well, because oil economy got fucked.
Everything else costs a fortune.
Yeah.
Oh man, so you ordered like a four bone in, like a prime rib. You know what I mean? And they were fronting and tried to hand you 3 bone, like.
Right. Hey, okay, so real quick, Be Controversial says, and I'll take a moment right here. Be Controversial says, oh, not a firearm story, but apparently some dude in Russia tried to rob a salon.
Yeah, I heard that story.
I have not heard about that story.
It's not recent.
Okay, gotcha. But for stories like that, Be Controversial, just so you know and so everybody else who's watching knows, you can always go to the brushfiremind.com. I'm sorry, brushfiremind.com. Neglect the indefinite article. So go to brushfiremind.com. You got the links here to, I probably need to update this because it still says Twitter, to X, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, the merch store, the Buy Me a Coffee link, or the Drop Us a Line link right here. You fill out the Drop Us a Line link, and that'll send me an email. Or if you just want to send an email, this goes through the show at brushfiremind.com, and that'll get your email to me. So if you want to show us, if you've got an article you want us to talk about, you want to submit a DGU for the Friday show, that's great. Go and scroll down to the bottom and you can watch one of our short films. This one is SpaghettiOs, and in my personal opinion, it's hilarious.
It's Lowry the Gray before he became Lowry the White.
and Cameron, you see Cameron with a pair of pantyhose over his head.
You shall not pass. Yeah. Yes.
We had an absolute blast shooting this video. I'm just going to let it run until he takes the dive. And for Lee Savage that made a comment earlier about the BB guns back there, that big old 44 that I'm shooting at him in that scene, that's one of the BB guns. That's one of the like I said, we use those as props for some of our films occasionally. So yeah, and also on that page toward the top, you can see where it says support the show, and that'll take you to buymeacoffee.com. Brushfire Mind. Link in the description below. Go there to support the show, and hopefully I get all of y'all to subscribe and send us $5 a month, and then I tell Mario and Cameron both to quit their day jobs and buy a big old chunk of land in the country, and we do more videos. So let's Mario, you good for one more?
Yeah, you can do one more. Like I said, I got an hour, so about 7 minutes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe two more then. We'll try not to dig too deep. Armed homeowner defends family during backyard trespassing incident. Okay, so Savage Lee, and maybe be controversial, may not have heard me give this disclaimer before. As a rule, generally, with the DGUs, the defensive gun use stories, what we try to do is we try to grab DGUs that are less than 7 days old, because we just did DGUs last Friday. So we try to do DGUs that happened since the last time we covered them. And we try to pick them by the headline only, so that we're reading them for the first time live on air with you, so that we get to have reactions. One of the best shows we ever had was several years ago now, but one article we read had the phrase "butt gun" in the title of the article. And you can go back and find the butt gun story, and it was hilarious.
It was a man who exercised his rights in ways that we couldn't imagine. Okay.
Or condone.
A true patriot.
So, armed homeowner defends family during backyard trespassing incident. Concealed nation. So, and I say that because with a title like that, with a headline like that, this could be the story of a great hero. This could be a story of substantial desperation.
Yep.
Could be an asshole. Could be a bad form story.
Yep.
But here we go.
I need. Does it pass the reasonable person? Okay. Rule.
Right.
Down to.
Corpus Christi, Texas. A shooting occurred Friday on the 1600 block of Graham Road when a homeowner used a firearm in response to a trespasser making threatening movements in his backyard. The suspect, whose identity remains unknown, was holding an unspecified object during the encounter, hiding the homeowner's concern for his family's safety. Shit, Mario. Can you read the rest of this?
Of course. Fearing imminent danger, the homeowner retrieved his firearm and fired at the trespasser. The suspect fled the scene, and it is unclear whether he was injured. Authorities, including the K-9 units and drone operators from the local police and fire departments, man, they're well funded, conducted a thorough search of the area. Hospitals and emergency rooms were also contacted in an attempt to locate the individual, but the search yielded no results. Such incidents underscore the importance of homeowners being prepared for unexpected threats. In many states, laws permit individuals to use reasonable force, including firearms, to defend themselves or others on their property if they perceive an imminent threat. Okay, well, this is we'll close. Okay. This one is Nothing Burger. Okay.
Yeah, it does read like a Nothing Burger, but let me cover this real quick since it came up in the article. It says in many states, laws permit individuals to use reasonable force, including firearms, to defend themselves or others on their property if they perceive an imminent threat. Okay. That someone is on your property without your permission is not the same as someone is trespassing. Before you can say that someone is trespassing, they have to have been given notice that they are trespassing.
Yeah.
That means either you've got purple fence posts, right? Or you've got a sign posted, or an actual fence or some physical barrier that has been intentionally in place to denote the property line, or you have personally said to the person, "You're not welcome here. Go away.
Right.
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave." They have to have been given notice. Once a person has been given notice, they are still not yet trespassing quite yet. For example, I'm standing in my driveway, right, running a leaf blower. Some random dude comes walking up the driveway, and I turn off the leaf blower and I say, "What do you want?" And he says, "I'm here to sell you insurance." And I say, Oh, I'm not interested. Have a nice day. At that point, I haven't actually told him to leave. Maybe he says, well, hear me out for a minute. Okay. And then I say, no, I'm not interested. I want you to leave now. At this point, he is still not technically trespassing because, like at my place, if he could be, if he came up the driveway to the house, he's come up, he's a football field away from the road. So I can't just say fuck off and suddenly I'm allowed to kill him.
But I'd like to clarify. At this point, you can shoot him with the leaf blower, like just all up his face, mess up his hair, get rid of him.
So yeah. So at this point, now that I've told him to leave, as long as he does, he is not trespassing. Right? Me telling him I don't want you on my property is not the trigger situation. The trigger is when he refuses to leave. Once he's been told to leave and then refuses to leave, now he's trespassing. Or if he's been notified before entering the property and then chooses to enter the property despite having been notified, now it's a trespass. Okay? And just because it has now become an actual trespass, that also does not mean that you necessarily get to just kill him. Right? For that, you need imminent fear. You need legitimate fear of imminent danger.
Escalation of force. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I mean, if it comes down to it, where you had to brandish a piece to get the guy off the property, I mean, what kind of situation is that? This it shouldn't get to that point. But if you don't, as long as it's escalation of force and it's reasonable at each step, then I understand. You know what? Let's do one more. That one was lame.
It was. Let's see. Oh, okay. This will be fun. Store clerk fatally shoots armed robber in self-defense.
A classic.
Oh,
7-Eleven. Ooh, South Carolina. Uh-oh.
I miss being able to hit the button. To be able to hit the button and get the DRT up there. A store clerk in Chesterfield County defended themselves during an attempted armed robbery, fatally shooting the suspect, according to local deputies. Authorities described the event as a robbery gone bad and confirmed the clerk acted in self-defense. Details surrounding the incident remain limited, with the identity of the deceased yet to be released. DRT! Local news outlets report that the Chesterfield County Sheriff's Office and the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division are investigating the case. Additional updates are expected as more information becomes available. I love a good DRT because it saves the taxpayer money.
Yep.
It saves the taxpayer money, it cures recidivism, and it serves as an active deterrent for follow-on cases. In case of self-defense, South Carolina law generally supports the rights of individuals to protect themselves when faced with imminent danger. This incident highlights the serious risks associated with attempting armed robbery and underscores the necessity of proper self-defense training for those in high-risk environments such as retail. Now, I like the way they use the language here. This incident highlights the serious risks with attempting armed robbery.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've made the argument before that cops and robbers are actually in a pseudo similar situation. A police officer's job is a dangerous one, and so is a criminal's job.
Yeah.
Because let's not make bones about it. While it may be an ignoble profession, crime is in fact a profession, and you'll get the big old fat broodmare come out and say, "My boy didn't do nothing wrong. He didn't do nothing wrong."
Goblin Den Queen.
Yes, yes, he did. He did in fact do the wrong, and the wrong is what got him the dead. So your boy could have been an industrial electrician and had his ponytail caught in an overhead crane and had his head pulled off because, well, that's a risk in that job. I know. I've seen it happen. It ain't good, right? He could have been an American soldier and left his life in a foreign country defending your rights. I know, I've seen it happen. But he chose instead to be a criminal. He chose instead to rob a grocery store. And, well, turns out that job also has a mortality rate.
Yeah. I mean, mostly we're not talking like well thought out, okay, like like Italian job style, breaking.
Right.
Okay? We're talking about individuals who don't quite grasp the serious risk that they're undertaking by doing an armed robbery.
Right. It's Abu Ghraib, not the Bin Laden raid.
Yeah, we're talking very low impulse control, very low future oriented thinking. Okay. People who essentially just live in the moment as they are right now. So, yeah, I guarantee that was the case here with this individual from South Carolina.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We got a DRT. Save the taxpayers some money. Save the cops the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
All around a good day.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that, y'all, it's cold outside. Drink water. Right. You think about it when it's hot outside, you're sweating and you get thirsty. When it's cold outside, you got to pay attention. Drink water.
I want the audience to understand that this is an authentic Army safety brief. Okay, I've heard that exact same thing countless times. you don't think about drinking water when it's cold outside, but you need to.
But you need to. remember having to slam down the whole canteen and hold it up over your head, wait for everybody to catch up.
Yep. In Fort Leonard Wood. In like January, where dripping drops of ice cold water on my head.
Exactly. You're on the firing range, waiting for your turn to acquire and do your basic rifle qualification, and you're just thinking to yourself, if my dick wasn't frozen, I'd be pissing myself because I had to drink so much water. But it's so cold. So I bet Danny says, take your salt tablets. Oh, Mario. You know what? You got to come up and visit. I have a case of Double Zalt.
Oh, really?
I ordered what I thought was a bag of Double Zalt, and they sent me a case of like 20 bags. I'll never get through that much. It's good.
You got enough. You got enough there to go into kidney failure.
Yeah. Oh, be controversial. Okay, Mario. Okay, a little bit of story time real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. Because Be Controversial says we had that in the Air Force too. So I've mentioned I need to get this cat on the phone sometime just for chuckles. In fact, be controversial. You should send me an email to either info or the show at brushfiremind.com, and maybe we'd have a chit chat. The Air Force, Mario, do you remember being at DLI and going up to run on the hilltop near the nicer PX?
Yeah.
Remember seeing the Air Force out there playing Duck Duck Goose for PT?
Yeah. It's physical activity.
It is. I shit you not, they were playing Duck Duck Goose, and then one of my favorite drill sergeants, tiny little bald guy, tiny little shiny man, Drill Sergeant Sunnydale Hyde. He said, "I wonder if I could write a CRM to play Duck Duck Kill. It's like Duck Duck Goose, but then when you catch the runner, you have to do combatives to see whether or not you're eliminated from the circle."
Ooh.
Right? It's like Duck Duck Goose, but with fist fights.
Yeah, and it really adds the element of you would be more selective about who you choose. So it's like,
and once you're chosen, you want to run.
yeah, because Larry's a big guy. You think he might not be quick, but he's got some go-go juice in his heels. Probably because he lost one of the basic, but he's got some go-go juice. I've seen him. He can for 10 yards. Larry can sprint really fast, scary fast.
You remember coming down the hill coming down the hill, and all of a sudden I'm passing everybody because I weigh twice as much. Not done yet.
What do if I slow down, I'll blow my knees out. So I'm sorry, coming through.
I'm not so much running at that point; it's just trying not to land on my face.
Exactly. It's a controlled crash.
Unverified Bear says DDG is a fucking baller game. So, yeah, y'all be safe out there. It's cold. Don't let your toes get cold. Don't drive drink. Don't fry bacon naked. And y'all make sure to come back here on Monday morning, and we will see you then.